primeira mesa de debates, a gente tem o tema Protagonismo Conjunto e Coliderança Evolutiva, com empreendedora, lideróloga e
Está vendo um delay.
Adelino, administrador, mestre em economia, empresário, pesquisador, professor conscienciológico, membro do colegiado gestor e cofundador da Liderário, e Marcelo Brivilati, ex-atleta e treinador de atletismo.
So we are now calling Adelino and Marcelo Brivilati. We can start now our first debate forum, our first roundtable. Good morning, all. Welcome.
This is a great pleasure to be here.
Meu santo.
All of you. Grande prazer estar aqui com todos vocês.
It's great to be here with you. I'm glad we have a simultaneous translation. We are now doing the first conference in Portuguese, and it will be translated to help. I place the slides in English. Feel free to ask the doubts. We are going to be bringing a little bit of this theory from the conjunction protagonism that we investigate in Leadership Forum. So the first idea of this first debate is be bringing this first theory for us to start to reflect about this protagonism. What is this leadership, this evolutionary leadership? Because those ideas, they can help us to contribute with all the debate, the interaction of the ideas that we are going to be holding during our entire meeting today. That's why we decided to open this forum with this theory for us to contribute with our conversation together. So let's start. So this theory that we are proposing as our researchers, Marcelo, Fabio, and myself, we started based on the studies of the evolutionary self-leadership. You are going to observe that we placed as a crescendo in which the person starts with developing the evolutionary self-leadership, and according the person is advancing and developing, this person can act as an interassistential leadership. And when she or he, they are acting in this way, they organize themselves in a way of coordinating, and that we call it, that we are going to explain, which is the evolutionary co-leadership. It is a process that starts with the self-leadership. We are going to explain what is the logic behind this process. Feel free for you to analyze if that makes sense, if you have other ideas, other insights, in order to share with us. So the evolutionary self-leadership has a few pillars, and one of them is the assumption of the personal self-singularity. Without that, the person will be halfway and will be not applying her or his best performance. So this is the first stage in the condition of the self-leadership, evolutionary self-leadership. And this consciential singularity, if you want to ask what is exactly that, one thing that can direct us to understand that is thinking about your essence, identity, extra-physical identity, extra-physical essence, which is who are you in your root through an intermissive course. And our identity, we bring your essence. You bring innate ideas, innate evolutionary ideas. You bring many traits that belongs to you. They are not learned only in the intermissive course. They've been with you together with you in your evolutionary file. So the consciential singularity is when you are in contact with whom we really are as an extra-physical consciousness. This is the main idea. Well, but it seems hard. No, it's not. The thing is that we don't stop to pay attention in our inner world, in what we really are and how we really think about. And there are many techniques, even in conscientiology. There are many books that will help us to hear ourselves, to contact ourselves and to get in touch with the consciousness that we really are.
Envolve o processo da autoaceitação.
We used to say that the first step is the self embracing and accepting ourselves. And that involves not to be striving for us to be who we are not. And this might happen when we tend to help, assist, and tend to do good stuff for the group. For example, when we pick values that belong to the group with the attempt to be accepted in the group. When we import principles that are not so much evolutionary, but there are principles that the group, they use, and sometimes we end up using in order for us to adequate it in the group. So the intermissivist has a challenge, because in some way he or she, they are an agent, anti-normos agent. So what is a normos? Normos is what is considered normal for the society, but from the evolutionary point of view, it's not something that is homeostatic from the principle of generating more evolutionary environment, getting in touch with helpers. So there are questions that in the society they are accepted and normal, but not necessarily are positive. So the challenge from the intermissivist is becoming one agent, anti-normals. And therefore, he or she, they need to be aligned with the evolutionary values, with the evolutionary principles, and with their evolutionary proposal. We bring this condition of the self-cosmoetic, which is this personal integrity towards the principles, the values, towards your singularity, and towards your evolutionary proposal in this journey and this intraphysical dimension. This is the idea of you've been able to support, to sustain your principle and your evolutionary value. Sustain what is more serious, what is more important in this life. And many times, we are not addressing the process of the society in general, the place where we are insert with a specific sort of pressure due to the intraphysical rhythm. Sometimes we end up creating illusion, because in our evolutionary group, we have this pressure. It doesn't mean that because we are together in a conscienciological community that it will not mean that we do not need to be alert towards that, because we are in the intraphysical dimension, we are in the human condition, and we can commit many mistakes, even due to our weak traits that we need to overcome. So it's important to maintain this posture of putting on practice the disbelief principle. If we do not pay attention on that, we might get lost, especially in terms of cosmoethic, because we are talking, when we address the cosmoethic, we are addressing the integrity and the self-questioning, the self-authenticity, and the heterocriticity, for you to be maintaining the lucidity and the discernment in this dimension. So for you to support an evolutionary self-leadership, doing many things, we will be able to support our positioning and embracing and making critics in the even towards our evolutionary group. And this is what helps us to evolve, because if we place, or if we understand the situation in a way that everything is normal without conflict, we end up becoming in sub-level. So it is all the time this issue, the conjunction view, the self-critical view. This helps us a lot in the evolutionary process, either individual and group process, and also the transparency inside the group. So it's you being a leadership from yourself, keeping the discernment, the lucidity in all the groups that we coexist, and being able to preserve your consciential singularity wherever you are, whenever you are. So see if that makes sense for you, if this is logic, has some level of logic. And the more we can develop this evolutionary self-leadership and sustain that, the more we can develop this capacity of managing existential self-gestation, self-management. In Apex, they study that, which is, they even promote a course that we used to indicate, which is the self-management. So the self-management is a result from the application of the evolutionary self-leadership. So for those who are with difficulty to manage your own life, it's because either this person has no evolutionary self-leadership, or it's still in the beginning, consolidating the self-leadership. And the big majority from the people who hasn't been able to develop this evolutionary self-leadership are people who cross the slavery process, who've been submitted to domination. So they don't have, they end up not developing this inner force for them not to be themselves. So they will face more challenging from the point of view and from the process of popping out of that. So it's interesting that we might consider helping people to pop out from this slavery process, this submission process, so this person can assume the evolutionary self-leadership. So first is the assumption of the singularity. And whenever we assume this singularity, we come closer to our intra-consciential compass, closer to the evolutionary proposal. And then the person needs to apply. And then we bring the third pillar, which is the self-cosmoethics. So the assumption of the singularity, the clarity towards the evolutionary proposal, and the self-cosmoetic, in order to be able for us to support this proposal. And just to complement here, the evolutionary proposal for us inside the interassistential leaderology, it's not the same as proaxis. There is a detail that they get complemented, but they are different things. So the proaxis is the plan, the planning, the strategic planning, the strategic evolutionary planning, and the proposal is what you want to add in your life and in the life of everybody else. This proposal is more perennial, is more fixed. It's connected with the essence of the consciousness per se, with the matter to sin, with evolutionary needs. It's more related with this matter to sin. And the existential program is a more dynamic, which is the how to do that in order for us to apply this proposal in the life that we are following. Because the proaxis is the evolutionary strategy. It's dynamic and it's changed according to the moment you are experiencing, according to the group, the meeting. Perhaps we need to readjust plan B, C, so on. So those plans, they are dynamic, but the proposal it has a bigger duration. It's more fixed. And this is for us to help with our self-research process. For example, sometimes we find a world conflict and you need to readapt your plan to go in that situation, to find that your focus. So we can use the example of instructor Vieira. So instructor Vieira always add the interassistential parapsychism. He always reinforced that we might use parapsychism as an important tool, developing the parapsychic self-autonomy, not being dependent, not being codependent from others. So what was his plan? So first of all, he tried to embrace and bring people from the first spiritism religion, no? So then it was not possible to bring those ideas. And then he popped out from the spiritism and he created a different group. And then he called people from the intermissivist course. He called us to help us to structure conscienciology in this dimension. So we are at the beginning of the beginning, at the beginning of the get-go from his plan, but he needed to reinvent it. So he jumped from one idea into another for you to understand how we can adapt it ourselves. Sometimes we are going to see ourselves inside a dilemma in which we will need to keep that main idea that is going to evolve another group in order to complement and keep on moving with the process. So the more we assume that, the more we can show our conscienciality and assume the leadership about our own condition, we end up giving more confidence to our extra-physical friends, for our helpers. And it's similar as it happened here in the intraphysical. It's like you were growing in your work, in your life, and more things, they come and they jump for you, no? It amplifies the synchronicity, showing that we are in the right path, because you were aligned, you were connected with what is important and what is more related with your proposal. So the more aligned we are with our consciousness, more the helpers will be seeing that, look, that's interesting. This consciousness can support, can reinforce what she or he is supposed to do. So then the extra physical thing, they end up being interesting on gathering us. And then we develop and we reached the process of the inter-assistential leadership. So in the theories that Instructor Vieira brought, he addressed a lot this pre-intermissibility, reinforcing that this life is just a practice for us for when we go back to the extra-physical period. No, we will be able to help with the rescue process. So we see that there is a crescendo logic. So everything that we do here in this moment, it will capacitate us to help us to exert this interassistential leadership. So we are practicing for this process. And this is applied not only in the extra-physical, but from the multidimensional point of view. So if we can apply in the intraphysical and in the extra-physical, we are going to experience a crescendo. So we will end up reverberating and reinforcing your originality, because that is what connects with the consciousness that you need to assist and connect. And it's your singularity that will connect. So there are nobody equals to everybody. No, so whenever we recycle, we show, we give example, we set example, so the other consciousness, they can see that it's possible to live in a different way. So when the consciousness, when they come to make pressure, actually it's because they have no other way to perceive, to see these contacts. So this capacity of being able to experience this different consciential interrelationship, this might have been done in a different way. So whenever we place ourselves as an interassistential leadership, this helps us a lot. There is an interesting process related with the leadership. No, here in the intraphysical life, we understand leadership as a person who liderates, a person who coordinates the group. And we have another hypothesis that the most the consciousness they assume their intraconscientiality, they have less need to compare themselves, to compare himself or herself with others. And then that will diminish the competition condition. And then we can act shoulder by shoulder, not with other consciousness, but also together with other intraphysical and extraphysical things.
The person reduces his own interconflict, tries to connect more with the helpers. It becomes more to become more who they really are. And this auto-pacification produces an hetero-pacification, and it becomes more collaborative, more universalist. It becomes more, can help more to work with other conscious. The competition loses its meanings when the person reaches that point of self-leadership. This is why this person becomes to walk towards its, because it has more inner balance. This is at this moment that it becomes more singular,
Então, o próprio grupo começa a reforçar
The
isso, a
groups
reconhecer isso naquela pessoa.
recognize this in this person,
Reverberação da
and there is this reverberation
essa autoridade
of this
consciencial,
authority,
começa a
consciential authority,
caminhar
and the
para
person becomes to work to
começa a ser
evolutionary
agente de
entrepreneurship.
transformação nos ambientes onde ela está. Da mesma forma como existe uma empresa,
The same way
gera
there is in
uma transformação no seu entorno através de serviços,
there is a
gera para a comunidade. A pessoa, quando
person,
começa a alcançar o
when it
empreendedorismo,
becomes to reach the
ela começa a
evolutionary entrepreneurship,
transformação
she becomes to
dos ambientes onde ela
transformate
se encontra.
the environments where she is.
Empreendimento evolutivo. Por exemplo, uma instituição
What is the
egocêntrica,
evolutionary
por exemplo,
leadership?
empreendimento evolutivo, que ela gera uma série de serviços no entorno e ela ajuda ela promove, né,
It promotes a evolutionary process
em todo aquele ambiente, né, onde ela está
in this
inserida.
environment where she is, where it is. It helps to reurbanize the environment where she is, and it helps and incentives the recycling, including the around her. The entrepreneurships who tries to create a concentric institute, it reverberates and around her, there. And then it reverberates around them. When a company can change a whole neighborhood and reverberate in a whole city, it reverberates in the whole state and the country, everything that it promotes. It's important to see that when we're talking about evolutionary leadership, we're not talking about yourself, not something that is inside yourself. It's something with around you. The evolutionary entrepreneurship, it transforms the person is not alone. It has always somebody around her and something around. There's not something a liderate. It's not something command control, leader. It's something shoulder to shoulder. The person sees everyone around her as it with the strong traces. As long as people assume there's a singularity, there are more leaders. When somebody assumes its leadership, everybody assumes the other position.
E com isso a gente começa a caminhar também para a co-liderança evolutiva.
And we work towards a co-leadership, evolutionary co-leadership. An example of evolutionary co-leadership is the collegiate of this the.
É uma atuação líder-líder. Aí a gente pode dizer, nossa, mas isso está muito longe. Mas podemos nos inspirar nesse modelo de funcionamento desde já.
We have to inspire ourselves in this moment we are. The same way we inspire ourselves in the Sereníssimos. It's interesting to think that each Sereníssimos has its own singularity. It becomes more singular as he walks toward more Sereníssimos. We can conclude that the singularity of the conscious is something that evolutionary moment needs to become to evolve. Talking the contrary way, when somebody doesn't assume that singularity, it's a prejudice to her and to everyone around her. It's something that we should think about and check if that makes sense to you. The conscious that already have ability to work with that shoulder to shoulder way, they liderate together. It's like a team, the dream team, like the NBA dream team. Simplificate. When everybody, there isn't just one star. Everybody put their best to everyone. Everybody assuming their best potential in high level. We didn't have to check with everyone. Just everybody knew how to do, what to do. They didn't have to talk. Now imagine that with the consciential paradigm working through the interexistential. We must inspire ourselves and train now, right now, to check this point. Focus on the Serenissimos so we could train and put ourselves in bigger challenges so we don't have to check that point and to amplify that vision and to challenge ourselves to be bold. Look, I don't know how to do that. Just learn how to do that. It's important to have the courage to be yourself. So we could start at the point to be yourself and to get to that other points. To train that today, the most the joint protagonism leadership at this forum. How much can we change ideas and work together? I know each one is in their country. We could be a hub, an inter-association hub with intermissivists to work together, to help each other, to do something together. All of that could be done at the multidimensional context. It could be a train to the co-leadership, the evolutionary co-leadership, the joint leadership. To the co-leadership, the person walks to the co-leadership. The self-leadership is a crescendo, something that reinforcement of the singularity, the application of the autocosmetics, and and we're talking to the self-entrepreneurship. The person walks towards the evolutionary entrepreneurship. It works a mini piece, interexistential mini piece. If they assume the singularity. It's not possible. We cannot. The person has to liderate their own life and contribute to around her, or should dramatize. It's not possible to become a mini piece. That's the pillars that the theory that we're talking about. And we ask you to collaborate with this weapon. What is evolutionary co-leadership? In a full way, and donates their best in favor of the best for everyone, in favor of the interexistential reurbanizing mechanism. That's that. That's what we wanted to bring to you. The idea we wanted to bring to you. We bring the shoulder-to-shoulder actuation between team ins and team axis. That's why the importance is of the self-parapsychism, the auto-parapsychism, and the work with the helpers, expansion of the cosmovision. Another pillar of the co-leadership is the full assumption of the consciential uniqueness of the members, to incentivize everyone to assume their singularity, uniqueness. Maximification of everyone's mega strong traits. When everyone puts their best to the best for everyone, that's where we arrive to the joint protagonism. Evolutionary co-leadership is practically a synonym of the evolutionary cooperation. I'm going to call Marcelo and Adelino to help complement and enrich the debate, and they will bring their own experiences. And we'd like to hear you. We would like to see if you have ever thought about it. And we can talk more about that. Good morning, everyone. That subject of the interexistential mini piece, the complementation. After Simone and Fabio have talked about with us, I was reflecting about the importance of our positioning and the autocosmetics positioning. The authenticity, we have to assume our authenticity, our condition as a researcher, as conscientiologist, to see what is our path as leaders in the working with other leaders in this context of polarization that we live today in Brazil and in Europe with the war. Each day it becomes more important to look to the auto management, self-management, when we see our values and how we can contribute to reverberate that cosmoetic that Simone and Fabio has bring. I've tried to analyze the context that we are living today, to determine the choices, my own choices, and the choices with the group, to doing my own recycling, to have a position towards this, to have this complementary vision. Marcelo, you're from Europe. What you see from the European vision? And this team, it all becomes, it all starts with the auto leadership, self-leadership and co-leadership. There isn't the hierarchy condition. It all becomes with a
isso como princípio e valor evolutivo vai estar contribuindo de uma forma.
If everyone assume their singularity, we will all contribute to the group.